They didn't touch a door, a vault, or a camera. No masks. No gunmen. Yet, as Dhaka slept in early 2016, strangers on another continent quietly reached into a nation's central bank and started pulling money out, tens of millions, through a keyboard. This is the Bangladesh bank heist, a near-perfect crime where the getaway car was a blinking cursor. Before we dive further, don't forget to subscribe to Cyber Nightmares and hit that like button. Your support keeps us going with new cybercrime stories every Sunday. Now, back to the story. Start with the heartbeat of a country's finances. Bangladesh Bank, the central bank that holds national reserves and moves them abroad through a trusted messaging network called SWIFT. Think of SWIFT as banking's private mail system. If your messages carry the right credentials, other banks treat them like law. Inside the bank, everyday routines build a rhythm. Payment messages sent, confirmations printed, totals reconciled. The attackers studied that rhythm. They didn't need to break SWIFT itself. They just needed to impersonate a trusted participant. That meant finding a way into the bank's own computers, learning who did what, and, crucially, discovering how those sacred SWIFT credentials were used. Their plan wasn't a sprint. It was patience, reconnaissance, and time. It began with something ordinary. An email that looked like a job application, complete with a polite note and a resume. Someone clicked. That single click planted malware, a small foothold that let the intruders explore quietly. From there, the hackers moved with care. They mapped the network, watched how staff logged in, and located the servers that handled SWIFT messages. Every new password captured, every access token stolen, made them less like intruders and more like insiders. They didn't rush. Weeks became months. They learned the bank's habits, even its quirks, like the way daily SWIFT messages were printed and reconciled. And when they finally reached the system that signed off on international transfers, they didn't announce themselves. They waited for the perfect window. February 4th, 2016. In Dhaka, it's Thursday night, the threshold of the Bangladeshi weekend, when offices go quiet. In New York, where the central bank keeps a reserve account, it's still a regular business day. That time zone seam is the opening. Just after midnight in Dhaka, the attackers begin to type as if they are the bank itself. 35 SWIFT payment requests race to New York, nearly $951 million on the line. The messages look routine, payments to NGOs and companies, nothing flashy, because they carry genuine credentials stolen from inside Bangladesh Bank. The Fed's systems start processing. 5 transfers get through quickly. About $101 million leaves the account before anyone in Dhaka even pours a morning tea. 81 million lands in newly primed accounts in the Philippines. 20 million is aimed at Sri Lanka. Back in the Bangladesh Bank office, the night is calm. No sirens, no alarms. If you were the duty manager walking the corridor, you'd hear only the hum of servers, machines doing exactly what they're told. The first error is human. On the attacker's side, one of the transfer orders names a Sri Lankan charity, the Shalika Foundation, only it's misspelled as Foundation. A sharp-eyed intermediary banker notices the oddity and pauses the transfer to confirm details. That small hesitation is enough to derail the Sri Lanka payment and claw back the $20 million. A single misplaced letter nudges a billion-dollar scheme off balance. The second error is mechanical, or so it seems. In Dhaka, bank staff expect a stack of SWIFT confirmations to be printed every morning. But on Friday, February 5th, the tray's empty. A confused employee tries to reprint. Error. Missing file. Try again. Nothing. It feels like an annoying office glitch, and it is anything but. That glitch is custom malware the attackers slipped into the SWIFT workstation, designed to block and falsify records so no suspicious transfers appear on paper. Without those printouts, no one reviews the night's activity, and no one answers the Fed's automated queries asking, "Are you sure?" The bank is effectively blind and mute. On Saturday, February 6th, after frantic troubleshooting, the printer finally sputters to life and disgorges a horror story. Page after page of large urgent transfers no one recalls approving. The room changes temperature. Calls fly to New York and Manila. But it's the weekend in the US now. The clock favors the thieves. By Monday, the picture is clear. 5 transfers succeeded, and $81 million has already begun its disappearing act. Follow the $81 million to Manila. The funds hit accounts at a commercial bank, accounts opened months earlier under false identities and left almost dormant. Then, suddenly they awaken, withdrawals, conversions, chip after chip, moving across casino floors. At that time, Philippine casinos sit largely outside anti-money laundering rules, and cash is king. Within days, the money fractures into chips, junkets, and private rooms. It becomes stories, rumors, and fragments. When regulators finally slam the brakes, only a thin slice is left to recover. Back in Dhaka, the shock becomes anger. Resignations, investigations, hard questions. Why were critical systems so exposed? How did basic checks fail? The receiving bank in the Philippines faces record fines. International agencies trace the malware and the tactics, linking them to a notorious state-sponsored crew. The heist starts to look less like a one-off and more like a playbook, one that other criminals might try to copy. So, what did the world learn? First, trust is not a control. Swift wasn't broken. The thieves used real credentials from an inadequately defended environment. In modern finance, the weakest endpoint can speak with the strongest authority. Second, people are targets. A believable email can be more dangerous than a safecracker. Teaching staff to doubt, verify, and report is not a compliance box, it's a defensive wall. Third, segmentation and monitoring matter. If the Swift terminal can't see the rest of the network, malware can't wander so easily. If logs are mirrored and watched in real time, a printer glitch can't silence an entire bank. Finally, speed is survival. The attackers exploited weekends and time zones. Defenders must plan for them. 24/7 escalation paths, cross-border contacts, and automatic tripwires that halt high-risk transfers until a human says, "Proceed." The Bangladesh bank heist is unforgettable not just because $81 million vanished, but because the thieves proved you can rob a vault you never visit. No footsteps on the marble, no fingerprints on the steel, just a trail of messages, a typo, and a printer that didn't print until it was too late. And the lingering question for every institution that moves money with a message is uncomfortably simple. If they could do it there, what would stop them here? If you enjoyed this deep dive into Bangladesh's bank heist, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Cyber Nightmares. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next episode, where we'll unravel more gripping tales from the hidden corners of the internet.